Are you tired of getting 3s on your math exams? Do you want to know how the kid in your class who never seems to study always gets that 7? Do you want to know what he's doing differently? Hello. My name is Weiwei, and I'm a current IB diploma student. I have competed and won many math competitions, including the AMC, COMC, Euclid, Fermat, Hypatia, and many more. I've also been invited to compete in many prestigious Math Olympiads at a provincial, national, and international level. So some of those include the CMO, APMO, USAGMO, and the AMI. Currently, I have a 7 in 5 out of my 6 IB courses. So my first tip is to take notes and focus in class. You need to start by building a strong foundation of math skills, and then you can move on to actually applying them to problem solving. Because if you don't have the basics, you're going to quickly be overwhelmed by a very hard problem. So always take notes in class, ask questions in class when you have them, and always review your notes before your tests. This is very important as you have to have a good foundation of skills. My second tip is do not memorize formulas. I cannot stress how important this tip actually is. First of all, your formulas are given to you on the IB exam, but if you're preparing for any other test, you might not have a formula sheet right beside you on the exam. So instead, you should aim to understand how that formula was derived, especially with simpler formulas. So, for example, the quadratic equation has a solution, and that formula, you might want to remember that. But what's more important is understanding the derivation of that formula and how you got from ax squared plus bx plus c into that final root formation. Because what often happens in questions is it tests your ability to problem solve with the concepts that you have to apply during that derivation of the formula. And if you understand how to derive that formula, it's going to make solving questions much easier as it deepens your understanding of the concepts. My third tip is to learn how to find motivation in a hard problem. And this is often the hardest part to train in math. You can learn the formulas, you can learn the concepts, but to actually learn how to apply them when you reach a hard question is the more challenging part. And the best way to find motivation and learn how to find motivation is by doing practice problems. But you always want to do practice problems that are harder than what you might actually see on the exam, so that you're more prepared. For example, if you're taking SL, then it's a good idea to try some of the HL papers just to test your skill. Of course, you might have to learn a bit more stuff, but it never hurts. Similarly, if you're taking HL, you can go ahead and look at some of the math competitions, such as the Waterloo math competitions, the AMC, maybe even the AMI, if you really want to give yourself a challenge. As for my fourth tip, it's a kind of controversial one, but I stand my ground on this one, and it's that look at the solutions. Don't hesitate to look at the solutions. Now, I know some of you guys might think, oh, I don't want to look at the solutions because, that's a waste of a question. I'm not learning anything by just looking at the solution. I'm not going to get better. But the truth is, if you get stuck on a question for so long, that's not a very productive way of using your time. Instead, of course, I'm not saying to just give up on a question. Of course, try the question for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And if you still have absolutely no idea where to go, then take a look at the solution and don't waste your time stuck there. Because oftentimes when you see a hard question, there might be some concept that you've never learned before. Or there might be some new way of doing the question that you've never thought about or learned before. And coming up with those, or, actually making up and solving a question without knowing the fundamental concepts or without knowing the strategies will basically be impossible. So don't waste your time on questions that you're really struggling with. Instead, seek help. Look at the solutions. But here comes the important part, is what you're doing when you're looking at the solutions. First of all, you want to take note if there are any concepts or terminology that you've never encountered before. And this is a perfect time for you to go online and look at those concepts, or maybe review your notes and review what you forgot or you haven't learned before. Next, as you're reading through the solution, you want to see what parts of the solution you didn't come up with. So you want to think, why did the solution do this? And why did the solution do that? What's the reasoning behind it? And you want to think, why didn't I think of it that way? And what in the question maybe did the solution notice that prompted the solution to solve the question and go down this way? And why was it able to solve this question? These are more deeper thinking questions that if you really dive deep into each question, you will get a lot better at problem solving. And as you solve more problems, you'll become more experienced with seeing hard questions, and you'll know how to approach them. And as you learn more concepts and as your fundamentals of the basic strengthens, you will be able to see how a question is supposed to go pretty much right away. You have a general idea, a general sense of which direction you want to take when you see a hard problem. And that's when you know that you've improved on your motivation finding. That's how you know that when I see a hard question, I'm not scared and I can just find the motivation and I know what I should do. This is also why the people or the students in your class that keep getting 7s seemingly without doing any studying can do that, because they have a lot of experience with solving hard math questions. And when they see a hard math problem, they know what a general sense is. Even though they might not know the solution right away, they have a general idea of which way they should approach this problem. And this is why they're able to solve the question really quickly. And this is why they don't have to do as much studying as maybe you are. Now, with enough practice, everyone can get to that stage. So here comes the next part. How do you actually practice? My 5th tip is time management. You have to actually put time into practicing, learning the concepts, and then solving practice problems if you want to improve your grade in math. There's really no way around that. So you have to be willing to commit time and effort. First of all, you want to have a study plan, especially if you have a test coming up. Let's say you have 5 weeks until the final exam, and you have 6 units you have to review. Then it's a good idea to maybe review 2 units a week. So that's 3 or 4 days per unit. And then have roughly 2 weeks at the end where you'll do a practice paper every day and see how your scores improve. And always, right, when you get a question wrong, go back to it, see why did you get it wrong? Was it just a calculation error, a small mistake? And how can you prevent that maybe on the actual exam? Or if this was a completely new concept, you've never heard of this before, then it's a good idea to go and look that up or review that. And always look for motivation in a question. And if you got the question wrong or you don't know how to do it, why did the solution do it this way? And the last tip is to seek help when you need it. First of all, you should subscribe to our channel. We post IB-related content to help students with their work and improve their grades. And you can check out our Instagram as well as our website, aceib.org, to find more resources, as well as checking out our YouTube channel for other videos. Another thing that you can do is to ask your teachers and friends. Don't hesitate. When you ask your teachers, it shows your teacher that you're actively trying to improve. You actually want to try to get better. And your teacher will take note of that. And maybe at the end, you want to get your teacher to bump your grade up. They're going to see in that past year that you've been actively committing effort. You've been actively trying to get better. And maybe, who knows, they'll bump your grade up by 1 or 2%. Also, you want to start building a good connection with your teachers, because at the end of your junior year or at the start of your senior year, especially if you want to go to university, you probably want to get a reference letter from a few of your teachers. So look to build those connections early on during junior year so that when senior year comes around, you have plenty of options. So that's it for all of the tips. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys will all get that 7 on your next test. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.